Hello, welcome back to the podcast. I've got Terry Chiu with me, and Terry does some interesting stuff in FinTech. And I'm going to grill him, and just in usual fashion, just to say, this is like the magician's disclaimer, Terry. This is unscripted. We're just going to talk about stuff. You have no idea what I'm going to say next, right, Terry?
Absolutely not. We've got no notes, no nothing. He's not giving me any heads up.
So, Terry,
Interesting.
do you just want to introduce yourself and introduce what you do so that people can get a flavor of who you are, what you're about?
Sure. My name is Terry. I run a business called Venture Motion, and we help small businesses, particularly in the finance sector, automate and smooth out their processes, and essentially help them scale their business without scaling headcount.
Ooh, that sounds clever. So, Terry, how long have you been in this kind of financial tech world?
Well, it's worth a note that we don't always just help finance companies, although the majority of our clients are finance clients. I've been in. Just to sort of step back a little bit, just to give some perspective to the journey. I used to run a digital agency that did everything, as digital agencies used to do. We did SEO, PPC, web builds, social media, and whatnot. And I sold that business, or my share of the business, in 2015. And a great big portion of our work was helping businesses in the financial sector, mainly people that lent money to other businesses, business lending, B2B. And it was great in helping them drive traffic, drive leads, and drive more revenue. But there was always that thing of growth and scaling that all businesses want to do, but nobody actually looks and steps back and looks, and actually we're driving all these leads and all this revenue, but actually we could squeeze more out of what we've already got. You've always got a sales department, you've always got a marketing department, and you've always got someone in operations, but you've never got somebody who looks at what happens in between. Marketing blames sales blame marketing, and everyone blames operations. And it got to a point where clients were asking for, we need more. And it was always more. It wasn't kind of looking at what have we got and how much more can we squeeze out of it. And that's kind of where the pain points started. Was I realized that actually all these organizations, large and small, we used to have a client that was 300 million pounds. And so, relatively large business. And every year they would have these huge growth plans year on year. This is how much percentage we need to grow. But actually, when you looked under the hood, actually they didn't need to grow. They just needed to optimize the stuff that they were already doing. So out of 1,000 leads that they were getting, they were converting maybe 300 of them. What's happened to the 700? No one cared, because everyone on the board level said, well, if this is how much we need to spend to get 300 customers, we'll double it to get 600. But no one was asking the questions, because everyone always wants to protect their own departments and their own jobs. And so they tell bosses what they want to hear, and that is, give me more budget and I'll give you more. And that's kind of when the interest started of how can we optimize what's going on and squeeze more out of it. And it was a case that actually no one had the intel or the insights to say what was going on between people bringing leads in and people selling to those leads. No one was actually saying, oh, actually it was because no one was calling those leads quick enough, for example. Or no one was, we weren't doing the due diligence. We were spending all our time calling leads that were rubbish leads and not calling those ones that were great leads, because no one knew. So that was kind of from 2010 onwards. And then I sold my business in 2015 to focus on a consultancy that would help businesses essentially get more of not spend more, but get more out of what they're doing now. And that quickly became great. So I had a few clients with me that, again, in the financial sector, and that quickly became a technology solution. The consultancy that I was doing, saying this is what you need to do more of, turned into, we could automate a lot of this stuff so that you don't need to increase headcount. We could do this with technology. So things like, for example, a lead comes in to a client. What's their credit like? How long have they been in business? What's their revenue like? Not what they're telling you. What actually is it? And quickly taking a lead through an automation system and saying, actually, that lead's rubbish because they've only been trading for 6 months. And actually, the credit looks okay for the business, but the director's got rubbish credit, which means that potentially they might be in danger because, etc. So it was providing that intel before any of the salespeople called it, so that it wouldn't waste their time. And also it would mean that any leads that they did call, it was a good lead because we've done all the intel, we've done the credit checks or the soft checks, and we've done some due diligence before it got to the got to the salesperson. And so that solution there became a tech solution, and that's what we build now. We build a tech solution for our clients to it's bringing big tech to small businesses.
And where does that floor go in terms of, any business can automate? And I always say there's some things you can automate.
Sure. Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
repetitive tasks.
Yeah.
So I'll bring my context in here. There's a lot of things like, calendar reminders you can automate. You can automate, appointment booking in the sense of people can go in and find a time. You can automate to some degree getting the leads in with ads and various different things. But there's some bits that you can't automate. How do you, I don't know whether you've seen this, though. I'll give you an example. There's what I'd class as a challenger bank. And at the moment, they are not even sending newsletters, but they're sending very template looking, drop the name in, Dear Dean. Do you know what I mean? There's some things you can automate that works well. How do you go about when you're working with a client going, this will automate, but this won't, or this will be clunky if you try to?
Yeah. No, it's a great question. And I completely agree. Coming from, an automation agency, you think that we want to automate everything, and that's not true. So you picked up on a really good point there. There are things that still need that human touch. AI can't touch everything. I think where we stand here is we build tools and systems that give the human the enough insight and intel to make a decision. And that's where the decision engine comes in place, is that the decision engine can make that decision for you and provide, a trigger, so an action after the end of it. But actually most of our clients don't use our decision engine technology for that. They use it to take out all the guesswork. They use it to take out the repetitiveness. So as an example, a lot of our lenders, before they lend money, they not only do the standard stuff like credit checks and things like that, but they also want to see your bank statements. Even with, we work with mortgage lenders and mortgage brokers as well. Quite often when you're going for a mortgage, they'll want to see, 3, 6, 12 months worth of bank statements. So you'll give that to them just to back up, your income and expenditure. But quite often when you give those bank statements, whether it's a paper form or PDF or whatever format, somebody's got to look through that and actually assess, oh, actually that looks like a gambling site, or actually that looks like additional income, so it could be a good thing, that the client hasn't considered. But all that stuff takes time when you're looking at 3, 6, 12 months. And so when a broker or a lender is looking at that, is somebody's job to look through those, and it's a very repetitive job, and mistakes can happen as well. As part of our decision engine, we have algorithms that basically scan electronic bank statements, either electronic bank statements in PDF, or we have open banking technology that allows the user to connect to their bank straight away, pulls in real-time banking data, and you may have used it yourself. And what happens then is our decision engines quickly can go through, categorize and look through, and actually then decide actually their income is actually this, not what they said. And their expenditure is actually this on entertainment, something that they didn't disclose, and actually their childcare looks more than one child, for example. and they only put one. So all these things are quickly delivered within seconds because there's an algorithm that looks through. Now, that doesn't mean that the decision engine makes the decision for the client.
Mm,
It gives them intel quicker, something that might
mm,
take a day to or half a day to analyze and decide, oh, actually, is that entertainment or is that
mm.
not? Our technology basically helps them scan, retrieve, and review.
It's almost like not credit scoring, but it's like another form of scoring to
It is
say
scoring, exactly.
these are the people you could, these are people tick, 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 tick. Guys, these are the ones to prioritize because everything's in order, get the deal done kind of thing. These are the ones where there might be a bit more work. These are the potentially non-starters that you might want to look through to check, but actually don't spend a lot of time there because the likelihood of them actually coming to something else slim. Is that a
Exactly.
fair appraisal of how it
That's
works?
exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is, and it's help. So it's not taking over, although it can. It's aiding, and it can. I think with automation it's not down to the technology. It's also down to the user on how far they want to take it as well.
Mhm.
You could automate everything from end to end, like you
Yeah,
said, but would it be really good? Would the experience be good? Probably not.
yeah.
I could automate my entire. I could automate my child, my 9-year-old, doing her homework, and she's already tried to use Alexa a couple of times to try and answer her homework, but that's not going to be very
Mhm.
good because you still need that element of human and the tonality, and not everything in business can be automated. So I think it's down to the user figuring out which bits do need that human touch.
And you know, we're coming at we're maybe coming from different angles, but I mean, I say to people on LinkedIn, there's some things that automation's brilliant at,
Hmm.
but you can't automate a conversation.
No, absolutely not.
You can send people information. So like, thanks for your application. We might need some more information. That kind of stuff's right, dead easy.
Hmm.
But when you get to decisions, I don't think maybe I'm wrong here, right? And tell me I'm wrong. I don't think yet we've got, and I don't think we want an AI that can totally replace humans. Am I off here?
No, I agree. I think in theory you could replace all the practical things that the doing
Mhm,
you could probably replace things that maybe require some level of manual labor,
mhm,
such as, and I don't mean real manual. I mean kind of having to look things up or review things. I think the way I see it is that if your if your business requires you to have a conversation, and that conversation has to have some degree of value,
mhm,
and I don't mean just the information within the conversation. I
mhm.
mean the tone, how it's delivered, that human touch. There's no way an AI could replace it.
It's like value and nuance. I don't think AI can deal with it. I mean,
Yeah,
did you see the whole chatbot with Facebook?
yeah, yeah.
Um, Facebook, what how much money do they make a year? Billions and
Mm,
billions and billions. They launched this chatbot that because of human nature, uh, whether they're mischievous people, whether it's the AI is not there yet, convince it to start splurting out all sorts of things about Mark Zuckerberg. And did you
yeah,
see it?
yeah. That's right. It was. It was. I think. I think also before that they tried to, and it was Facebook. They created two bots, two AI bots, and
Mhm,
they didn't exist. They just existed in a code format, and they got them to talk to each other. And this was years and years ago. And they had to shut it down because what happened was these bots quickly found a way to communicate more efficiently, and they started to create a new language between themselves.
mhm.
And so because they were using, short codes and shortcuts, and that short codes and shortcuts became shorter and shorter and shorter, it got to a stage where they were communicating in a language that no one actually understood, and they had to shut it down because they didn't know what they didn't know that what they were up to.
So I think. I think, you know, people talk about like Skynet and stuff like that. I know we're going off on a tangent here. I think if people are worried about Skynet, I'm not worried that, you know, somehow AI gets control of nukes and stuff like that. I'm not in that camp that thinks that's the place we need to worry about. I do think we could create things that are too clever for us.
Agreed.
Like I see this all the time in my world, and you know, LinkedIn automation or social media automation is dangerous if you try to be too clever with it, because it's only as good as the person inputting the information.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But you know, I don't think the Skynet thing's the problem. I think it's just actually us trying to do something where there's too many variables that we can't even think about the variables.
Yeah, what the outcome might be.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I
But
completely agree.
where do you see automation? Because everybody's afraid that, you know, what's going to happen to people's jobs. What do you think about that? Honest, is it a myth? Is it just a case of people are retrained, universal income? Where do you see this automation AI thing going?
Yeah, I mean, I think in some sense it's a good thing, and I think what automation does, it takes away all the stuff that can be all the repetitive stuff. So
Mhm,
let's look at, I mean, let's look at two eras. Let's look at car building. You know, there was an era where, you know, all cars were built manually
mhm,
by hand, you know, and now that's just a hobby, you know. And you know, no company would dare start a company and think, oh, we're going to build you know, classic cars by hand, and you know, make a, you know, and scale it. No one's going to be able to scale that. If you look at the accountancy business now, you know, 20 years ago, not even 20 years ago, 10 years ago, you'd go to your accountant and they'd do the payroll, the bookkeeping, and you know, and do your day-to-day stuff. Yeah. Xero does that
mhm,
now. So now what happens is I don't go to my accountant for the bookkeeping, although they will do the bookkeeping, but I know it's not them that's doing it. It's Xero that's doing it. I know, I pay for it,
mhm,
you know, and the payroll and whatnot. All that's already automated. But what I do go to my accountant for is, hey, do you know what? Do you know next year, if I wanted to save this much in tax, what are the activities that we need to do this year rather than next? That higher level consultancy type
mm,
work has become more important with accountants
mm,
than ever, because AI don't have that information, that don't have that kind of skill set at the moment.
mm,
Look at marketing. You know, in the marketing world, I used to have a digital agency, and we used to charge clients for the most mundane of tasks because actually only we could do it. And then the reason why I sold that share of the business was because I started to see on the horizon the likes of you know, all these tech tools that were coming into the marketing, just like Zero and the
mm,
QuickBooks did for the accounting industry. All these tools that would help automate and look things up very quickly in the digital marketing industry. We were charging clients for that, but then it would only take, you know, a savvy marketing director or a CMO to think, hang about, and the penny drops. Think, why are we paying these guys when
mhm.
this £30 tool does that?
Yeah.
So then that's when I went into the consultancy area, because that was the bit that I knew software couldn't replace. That was
Mm,
the bit that needed my years of commercial experience
mm.
to input.
It's expertise that you know, automation and AI can't replace.
Absolutely. Yeah. You
That
can't
like,
learn that stuff.
you know, you can see some automated ad platforms now where they can generate, you know, ad copy and stuff, but I'm not so sure it's fully there yet, because AI can't predict necessarily human nature that easy, but that's nearly there with,
Mm,
you know, copy a little bit.
yeah.
But
What's the
actually,
one? Jarvis. Jarvis is one, isn't it?
Jarvis, yeah, you've got
Yeah.
some of these AI, but when you read them, it's like it's only as good as the input still.
Yeah. 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 You're right.
So,
You're
you know,
right.
Jarvis, you put the inputs in, you get what's out. But if you've been flawed at the input,
In the beginning. Yeah.
So there's still a space for like expertise. And I think one of the things we've done is notice that now, given like social media, for an example, there's a lot of automation that can come in. There's a lot of things that you can do, but you still can't get that bit where it goes, how do I convince somebody to believe that I'm the solution to their problem?
Hmm. Hmm.
That's the gap that automation can't fix right now.
Agreed. Yeah.
That they can get posts out, they can auto generate posts, or even auto. Have you seen that DALI, by the way?
Yeah. Crazy with the imagery.
Yeah. I mean, if people don't know about this, there is
Yeah.
an AI website where you type in, I want a picture of a chicken standing on a roof in winter with the sun and moon in the sky, and it will generate that whole imagery.
Amazing.
And it's like, this is incredible. I mean, it's like unbelievable. So there's all of that cool stuff coming, which will make, I don't know how that works for photographers.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, I don't think they have anything to worry about because, again, it's that thing where, sure, for that low level work, again, it's all the same through all industries, through accountancy, through marketing, through photography. Sure, you can find a system to replace some of that low level work where it's kind of, you can get away with, a chicken that doesn't look quite like a chicken, but you can get a low level work. But for somebody who's looking for a high quality still,
Mhm.
and the AI still isn't quite there to figure out the tone and the light and the emotions that come out from
Mm.
certain shadows, and it takes a human and that nuance to understand what makes a piece of good photography, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's the same with your with marketing and your industry, where and social media, where kind of, yeah, sure, you can spit out posts, and you can get the algorithm to regurgitate this in 10 different ways, but certain words, certain things that I say to you and you to me, I'll feel something that an AI won't be able to feel.
Yeah. Yeah. So what does this mean for small businesses? What do you see, because you're involved in kind of obviously financial services, but you're also involved in e-commerce
Hmm.
and professional services. Where do you see AI in that space of small businesses? They're not going to be a massive startup, but they might be building a little e-commerce business and they want to simplify as much as possible. Where do you see they, even if they're not maybe the size where you would have them as a client, what would be some of the things you'd be telling them to think about or look at?
Yeah, I mean, quite often, and in large and small business, SMEs, mid-sized business, or even corporates, everybody, every single business. I haven't seen a single business that's become a client or had a conversation with, or that hasn't become a client, where they've got their entire process, whether that's marketing, whether that's sales, 100% optimized. As
Mm,
in, they're squeezing every single. There's no gaps. I haven't seen a single one. So let's just talk about e-commerce for as an example. We have a client who is in the vaping industry, and
mhm,
they sell online. They do very well. And again, the same thing. All business owners want growth. Yeah,
mhm,
they want scale and they want growth. They want big numbers. But that often means we want more new customers and more sales and larger checkout baskets and carts and etc. But then they forget about, oh, actually, well, Bob, who buys once every month, could actually buy once every week if we understood him well enough,
mhm,
if we understood what he actually buys and why he buys it, and having the data there to understand why Bob buys what he buys, what he's looked at in the past that he never put in his cart, maybe stuff that he put in the cart and took it back out, maybe
mhm,
things he shared, and all those things are data points which an e-commerce user can look at and think, well, actually, Bob only spends £30 a month, but actually he could spend 90,
mhm,
and that is taking one customer out of tens of thousands to spend an extra £60. Whereas, it's easy to get a customer who's already buying to spend more than it is to acquire a new customer.
mhm.
So that's what a lot of businesses, I think, do, small and large, is that they try and add new customers and get more. But what about their existing customers, their existing products and existing solutions? How can you squeeze more out of what they've already got, optimize what they've already got, and take a look at what they're actually doing now? And is it actually, are you getting leads and not calling them for a day?
Mhm.
And then losing them to a competitor because somebody, they found somebody else. No one searches online and only goes to one person.
No. So let me ask you, I was just having a brainwave, and this might already exist, but in an e-commerce world, obviously, you've got abandoned carts, you've got email newsletters, you've got all of that kind of stuff going on. Yeah, which like people like Shopify have got stuff built in and
Yep.
what have you. But I was just sat there thinking, one of the great applications of AI, and this may already exist, is whereby, Bob's looking on your website. Yeah, Bob decides to buy something for 30 quid, but you kind of know from data tracking on the site that Bob's also looked at this and this and this and this. Surely AI could do two things. First of all, it could collate the intel to say Bob's got a propensity to buy this. This is where he's spending his interest based on how long he's bought, so we know who he is. So we know Bob looks at these things and he spent lots of time here, and that tells us quite a lot about Bob. Great. So we now know that Bob is interested in this stuff. Great. We also know Bob generally is online on our website at these times.
Mm-hmm.
So surely you could end up with total programmatic email marketing where it's like, actually, we're not going to send 10,000 emails at 7 o'clock. We're actually going to send them, Bob's good at 7 in the morning and he likes these things, and Sally over here, it's these things,
Yep.
and it's 2 o'clock. And so you end up with, actually, we've got a template, AI, pick the best products to put in there based on their user information and send it at the best times in the week for that person.
For that particular person. Yeah, that's absolutely bang on. That's exactly what it is we do. We build those automations, and that is, I mean, you've taken it a step further there, but yeah, absolutely, yeah, the step further in terms of pinpointing Bob at 7 p.m. or whatever time he normally comes onto the site. Yeah, absolutely, that's exactly that's spot on. That and that's what a lot of business owners don't, because the easiest thing is, hey, we'll just spend another 500 quid on PPC and get another, because it's easy to track. It's easy to track, and it's easy to say the bottom line has grown because we've got another 10 customers. It's actually much harder to do that and convert 10 new customers than it is for, like you said, to get Bob and Sally to spend another 50, 60 pounds more. And that goes for everything in terms of optimizing what they've already got. You don't need more leads. You just need your leads to convert better or get better leads.
Mm-hmm. See, one of the things I know you've got a lot of involvement in B2C and I'm B2B. So there's a bit of overlap with the financial services bit, and maybe a bit in e-commerce. Maybe there's a lot of overlap, but one of the things that I say to people is it's not about necessarily just a volume of leads. And you've kind of hinted at it there. It's about the quality of the leads you get.
Absolutely.
I'm a big believer. A lot of people don't like this, right? There's sometimes humans get a buzz from getting things that are very unproductive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So by this, I mean, I know one company, big tech company, they get 1,000 leads a month. 1,000 leads a month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They can't convert many of them because a lot of them are what I'd class as people who are looking like they're downloading, they're signing up for stuff. They're not signing up with any intent.
Sure. Yeah.
There's no momentum or motivation behind the sign up.
Mm-hmm.
So I get one at the moment. I'm not going to say the name, but they're a big ERP platform. And they're putting out Facebook ads saying, do you want to grow your business? Now, let's ignore that it's Facebook for a minute. Let's just ignore that and just assume that they've got the targeting right.
Mm-hmm. Growing
your business in an ERP platform is it's it's a direct but tenuous connection,
Mm-hmm.
because people down in growing your business is leads and sales,
Yeah.
but actually they're an indirect growth mechanism. So they're getting people downloading. I'm getting the follow-ups and the phone calls and all that stuff, but it didn't the campaign didn't satisfy my needs. I've lost where I'm going with this, but
No, I think I know exactly where you're going with it in terms
but
of that the intent is there. The intent is the most important thing in that campaign rather than the volume.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you can analyze with kind of even even with a bit of AI, you can kind of go, okay, these people are coming from this campaign. What's the conversion rate of this campaign?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Where's it breaking down? And what's the intent? There's various different tools now you can gauge intent and propensity and stuff like that, which for a small business might be a bridge too far for them. But what I'm trying to get at is all leads are not equal.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, bang on. Absolutely, yeah.
And this tech company was like, yeah, we're really impressed with the leads. We just can't get them to convert.
Mm.
And then I was talking to another company who was doing the same thing, high converting ad. So they're getting leads. Are you ready for this? This is a true stat. I'm not like making this up. I was going to swear then, but I'm not making this up. They were quite happy to spend £20,000 on campaigns to get one conversion,
Mm.
because the conversion was worth £250,000.
Wow. Okay. Fab. Wonderful.
Right. And they'd never taken the time to actually analyze what made those conversions happen,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
to kind of go, let's stop spending 20 grand. Can we spend £1,000? And they were like,
That's
no,
it.
don't tinker with it. Don't tinker with it. It's working. It's like, no, it's not working. It's not working. But your stuff, you can look at that and go, what were the commonalities
There you go. Exactly. There you go.
that made somebody convert versus didn't convert? And then you can learn to go, let's stop spending 20 grand to get one sale.
That's it. Exactly. And I think that's kind of, it's taking the time to understand. But you see, that's where a lot of businesses, I think, are stuck in this cycle that they think more. You put out a post a while ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, actually, and I think you may have said it a couple of times, and that is in the same sort of breath, that just because your LinkedIn post gets lots of engagement doesn't mean you're going to get anything out of it.
Yep.
And it rang true, and I still remember that from your post, from all that. And you probably said it a few times now, actually, in different ways. And actually, it's really stuck with me, because I think when my guys are measuring the success of our posts, it's very easy to look at engagements. How many likes did it get? And that's and likes. Who doesn't like a like?
Yeah.
Everybody likes likes. But actually, and I think the operative word here is intent. What is the intent? Was it just an entertaining post? If so, then yeah, sure, engagement is probably a really good barometer. But I've had posts out there, and I don't get anywhere near the numbers you get. But if I have had posts out there that got 40,000 views, 5, 6, 700 likes, engagements, nothing, because it was pure entertainment.
Yeah.
But then in the same breath, I've had posts where I've got like 3 likes and a lead.
Yeah.
And so when you look at these two side by side, if somebody didn't know that lead came through, that one that had lower engagement probably looks like a little bit of a flop.
Yeah.
So your idea, your note about how the intent and the engagement piece really stuck with me, and now I always tell my guys to say, look, it doesn't matter if a post doesn't do well engagement wise, people still see it, because you can see people viewing it.
Most of the best posts, what I found is, And I was a bit obsessed for a long while about the likes, and I did a few funny videos, and every now and then I'll do a funny video just to see, because sometimes I'm in a devilish mood. I did a stupid one over the weekend, but likes don't pay the bills.
No, absolutely not.
That's the first thing. But visibility is important, being seen, because that can build trust and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, I found that the posts that have made me the most money have the least likes and the least views.
Mm-hmm.
Because often the people who want to buy from you don't want to signal that they want to buy from you. They're watching in the background, observing, checking you out, building that trust, seeing what's going on. And then I get the messages and I'm like, who is this person? I've never seen them on my posts, or the name's familiar, but it's not like somebody who's just there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people miss that. I think people miss that. But it is good to kind of like use some of your posts to like get a bit of your personality across, who you are, because, people buy into you, they buy into me. It's a great qualifier, actually, of what is a good client. If I go on, I do these weird lives in the morning, and I do them, one, because video is so immersive. People get to know you really well through video. That's why I like doing this stuff. But they buy into you. And if they buy into you at that point, it makes the next stage, Terry, I read that post about AI and the future of AI, and you were bang on the money. Can we talk? There's already a sense of trust. Whereas if you just like, you can do whatever you like, but if you just talk if you'd outbound a complete stranger, I'm not saying it's one or the other here. I'm just saying the difference. Somebody coming in off seeing your post, there's a ton of trust built. There's a ton of credibility built, and they're inquiring with you. So people say, what's the value of content? Trust, I think.
Great
trust.
Answer. That's a great answer, because I think that also answers for a long time. I think sometimes with content, a lot of people try to place the value of content like they would place the value on a sales call. And it's not, because the intent is different in that, and I'm really glad you've said that, because content is there to build trust and break and be an icebreaker. And I think that piece there where you said people get to know and trust you silently, I think that bit there, you can't quite measure that. And I think you're absolutely right in that there are people who are going to be silent. Not everybody likes to operate on LinkedIn with lots of engagement and actions and and likes and shares, and not everybody people just read. Some people just like to read, but just because they haven't engaged doesn't mean that they haven't taken in what you've said, right? Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think that's bang on. That I think that's really made me think about the way why we post sometimes.
It's one thing AI can't measure.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think I know the benefit of there's some basic admin tasks and basic things in my business that we go, do you know what? In fact, we did this just a couple of weeks ago. Say a couple of weeks, 3-4 months ago, we had Shopify running, we had this running, we had that running, we had Zapier running, we had all of these things. And I was like, do you know what we need to do? We need to just chop down some of this stuff, because every time you make something more complicated, you need more humans. And so we went, what's the simplest way to operate this where we don't need humans? So we went, well, do we need this email marketing platform? Can we do it in this platform? Do we need Shopify to then link up to something else? So we went, do you know what? Let's just spend the time simplifying so that we can systemize some things. Nowhere near where we want to be, but there's a lot of things like that we're doing that we don't need to do. And there's some things that only humans should be doing. And I think every business should probably have that, like almost like a, what's things that I need to do? We talk about it, do it or delegate it, right? Yeah. but there's actually another box to that. Automate it. Do it, delegate, automate it.
I like that.
And I think everybody should, maybe you should make a new Eisenhower matrix. You seen the Eisenhower matrix?
Yeah.
What is it? Do, delegate, defer, and delete.
Yeah.
I think it's something like that.
Yeah.
You should have a fifth box, automate. That'd be a cool post, by the way, Terry. You should do that.
That would be good.
I've invented the Terry Chiu matrix. It replaces the Eisenhower matrix.
We've added another ingredient.
Yeah. I think every business should look at that and go, if there's a repetitive task, we talk about fulfillment and purpose in work for employees.
Beautiful. Yeah.
If you've got like repetitive task, it's a surefire way to demoralize somebody in this day and age. That's the reality of it, right? Data entry, anything like that that's straightforward, you can automate and go, right, what's the really interesting stuff we can get people to do?
Yeah,
I think that you'll make a far more productive business doing that. So I think you should absolutely do the 5 box, the Terry Chiu matrix.
That's brilliant. No, I think you're absolutely right. On that note about people's jobs, and I think I think going back to something that you said earlier on about should we automate everything and what happens to people's jobs, I think a lot of people think AI automation, a load of people will lose jobs. Yes, that is true. People will lose jobs, but it will also force them to upskill and do something they want to do. They actually want to do. Nobody wants to do repetitive tasks over and over again. Some people, there's something in everyone that they want to do something more, and I think this is just forcing people to become better, become better versions of themselves.
I think, we're getting a bit kind of deep here, but money's a great thing. Not having it is a terrible thing. But in the end, we all want to make a difference in some way. We all want to feel that what we've done had some value to it. We can say, oh, a job is just there to have a family and all. That's great. Yeah, that's fine. But if all you're doing it for, there's no meaning to it. At least if you're doing so, even if, the robot's doing the data processing, but you get to do something interesting that actually, is a cog in a system that makes a difference. There's a feeling of purpose to the job.
Absolutely. No, I fully agree.
I see automation as a brilliant thing. I think we're going to go through that kind of, maybe we've already done it, I don't know, but we're going to go through that kind of crypto phase where everybody's going to be obsessed that it's going to change everything, and we're going to automate humans getting out of bed, and we're all going to maybe I'll ask you about the metaverse, but have you ever seen the film Surrogate?
Yeah.
With Bruce Willis in it.
Yeah.
That we're all going to end up sat in computer chairs and our robots are going to go around.
Yeah, I think it's actually the opposite. I think it's the opposite. I actually think it's going to free us. I think it's going to free us from our chairs and let us have the time and space to go and do those things away from our computers and chairs and offices and or home offices, and actually go and see more of the stuff that we of outdoor. And I actually think it's the complete opposite. I actually think that automation is going to free us from those monotonous jobs, those repetitive jobs, that allows us to go and do things that are purposeful, like you said. And I think I think that's what he's going to do. Is I don't see it as a bad thing at all. With all things like technology, if like you said before, you only get out what you put in. If you have bad intentions in it, bad things are going to come out of it. But yeah, absolutely, I think it's going to free us.
Do you know what I'd really love? I'll tell you what I'd really love. I'd love some kind of AI or automation whereby, like an AI VA.
An AI VA, yeah. I mean,
like just things like, like you've got Google Assistant, and Alexa, and you say, Alexa, remind me of something, or schedule a time. I'd love something that's a bit more sophisticated than that,
Mm-hmm.
where you can say, Alexa, remind me of this later, or Alexa, add this to my task list.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can go, Alexa, tell me what's on my task list, and kind of have it a bit more integrated. So it's not just audio, it's visual as well.
Yeah.
I'd love something like that. Or Alexa, can you find a time for, now I know you can get individual tools to do each bit, but then you have a bank of tools that you have to merge. I'd love like maybe an AI EA. That would be brilliant. Not for like really complicated things, but
No.
just like,
I know what you mean. I don't think we're too far from that. I don't think we're too far from that. I mean, this was about a year ago when we discovered this. We used to buy our dog food from Amazon. Well, no, we used to buy it from Pets at Home, but then we started to buy it from Amazon because it was too late for me to go out that night. So we bought it off Amazon and we started to buy it regularly off Amazon. After a while, Alexa started to ask us out of the blue, no prompt, if we're running out of dog food and would you like to place an order? Out of interest, I said yes, and it arrived the next day.
wow.
Now, that level of intel, bit creepy for some people, but for me, it was an eye opener because I then realized, well, what else? What else could I buy? What about even things like toilet roll? You know, when it starts to recognize how often we buy toilet roll, we don't buy toilet roll often, but if we did, and all these things, it's not Alexa, it's Amazon. It's Amazon that's actually gaining from this. Alexa's just a vehicle, a pod. It's just another shop front, disguised as an assistant.
Yeah.
But it's just another shop front. But how clever is that? Where it understands your basic needs, washing tablets, soap, all these things. Can you imagine?
Well, I can tell you one scenario that's happened to me today, and I'm sure everybody's had this. And some people, there are dangers to this, but somebody said, all these big companies knowing everything about you, but it's not a big company. It's not like they don't know me. It's just numbers and data. I'm just a number, right? So I don't really care if they know. But I was sat at home last night, and we've got 2 cats. And the cat, we've moved the furniture around in the house, and we have a big lounge and then a smaller, more cozy one. And we said, you know what, winter's coming in. Let's like decamp into the smaller one because it's easier to heat, and our house is all electric. So we're like, ugh. We got a quote. I don't know, put it on LinkedIn. It was like $8,000 for my electricity for the next year. So it's like, we're moving to the smaller one. We got a log wood burner in there. So it's like, great. So anyway, the cats usually hang out in there. So they've got used to hanging out in there. We've moved all our furniture in, the nice stuff, not the like rough stuff that we just doss around in. And now they're like,
oh no.
Right. So I'm like, these cats scratching the furniture, right? All my YouTube ads now have this spray that you can put on furniture for cats.
Yeah, that's
and it's like, that's kind of handy, but at the same time, kind of creepy.
Yeah. And yeah.
But it does show you that there's a lot of good to this. I mean, people would go, oh, my privacy. Well, nobody knows this really. You've not got Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos sat there going, oh, look at Dean.
Dean's got 2 cats.
It's like, it's all automated decision making. There's not a person behind it.
I fully agree with that. I think you're right. I think just because, I mean, there's 2 schools of thought. Yeah, should they be listening to you? Maybe not. Does it actually help? Yes, it does. And the whole privacy thing is quite a tricky subject here. Should they, or should they, and could they do it? But should they do it? And that's the thing. I had a similar thing where and we were not in any technology whatsoever. Just in a room, we were talking with friends about Disney cruises a while ago. And then in the morning, on Facebook, the Disney cruise ads. Now, when you click on the, why am I seeing this ad? It always gives you something generic, like you fall within our target customer category, or
Mm.
you are similar to one of our customers, or something, something like generic like that. But we all know that they're all listening in.
Mhm.
And there's lots of stories like that, and I think you're absolutely right. Is it bad? I don't know.
I mean, if the only danger I see from it is like propaganda.
Yes.
That's the biggest, like, we're seeing it at the moment. There's stuff going, oh, we'll not go into the politics of any of this stuff, but
Hmm.
um, you know, if some of this intel exposes our vulnerabilities to, human beings are vulnerable to propaganda. We are all vulnerable to repetitive messaging and all that kind of stuff. That's something we are
Hmm.
incredibly vulnerable to.
Hmm.
But I think we lost control of that a long time ago with the,
Oh yeah.
newspapers. That kind of is gone, and now we have to kind of put adult pants on and go, I can't just believe what I'm told, because everybody's, I'm not getting cynical here and
Yeah,
saying,
no, you're absolutely right. I think where the danger is when you've got individuals, so the likes of you and I were fully versed in how social media works, and
yeah,
why we might be seeing ads and certain things, and that's fine. It's helpful for people, but I think maybe there's like a generation, like my parents' generation, where they're a bit older and they don't quite understand. They probably do believe everything that they
mm,
see online, and my mum's in the 70s now, and I often have a call, and then she'll say, "Oh, I'll watch this video and they're saying this." And I'm saying, "Well, don't believe what they're saying." And she said, "Well, why would they tell a lie?" And it's like that innocence of, well, why would somebody say it if it's not true?
mhm,
And I said, well, because they want to get views up and they want to sell ads.
mhm,
And that was way over her head, and she
yeah,
couldn't quite understand.
yeah. It's
So,
it's like politics, right? Politics. I saw one today, and it was like, on one side they said, oh, these people have had a real terms pay rise of 8.6%, and then on the other side they were saying, um, sorry, no, a cash pay rise of 8.6%, and then they were saying on this side it was a real terms pay cut of 2%. Same stats, just
spun
rehashed.
differently.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
one's like, oh, how much money did we actually pay increase you? And this one's, okay, yeah, but if we count inflation, you've actually given us a pay cut.
Yeah. 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 It's just the way it's spun. Yeah.
Everything,
That's
I
brilliant.
don't want to be like cynical, but there's we've known this forever. There's two sides to every story. And we just have to be kind of grown up about this
Yeah.
stuff and go,
Agreed.
I've got to make my own decisions. I've got to weigh everything up. I can, the brilliant thing about today's day and age, you can launch a business and be up and running in 2 or 3 hours.
Hmm. Hmm.
The, the downside is you could buy from a business who's launched in 2 or 3 hours. Yeah. And it's like, you can have, you can go into Fiverr. You'll know this. Getting reviews from people, it's easier to get a negative review on somebody than get a positive. You
Hmm.
have to
Hmm.
fight for positive
Yeah.
reviews or
Yeah.
build mechanics in to do it. Negative ones are brilliant. They come in thick and fast when you don't need
You
them,
don't need them. Yeah.
right? But you can go to Fiverr and like give me, I will get you 500 reviews on Trustpilot, and it's like, you got to weigh this up. You got to kind of, it's just a different world I think we're coming into,
It's a
where
it's a very it's a world on steroids, and everything is bigger, faster, more scalable. And when things happen very quickly, and on a really big scale. And I think a lot of people aren't quite geared up for that yet, and they're
mm,
quite So no, you're absolutely right.
yeah. So Terry, if somebody's looking to kind of, you know, they're looking and going, what can I do? Yeah. You're open to talking with people. Who is and isn't somebody you could talk to or help? Just lay out. If somebody's like, I'd love to kind of automate some stuff, but I really don't know what I can and can't do, what's possible, what's realistic, what's like shooting for the moon kind of thing.
Our experience is in the finance sector. We help a lot of finance lenders, brokers, mortgage lenders, brokers, letting agents, anybody who deals with kind of vetting and vetting, customers, businesses or customers. And actually, we do help. Our best customers are actually classed as SMEs.
Mhm,
Uh, our best customers are 2, 3, 4, 5 man bands, because those are the people who want to scale without headcount.
mhm. Yeah.
It's not actually, we're trying to take technology that is available to the corporates, the big banks, and the big enterprises, and bring that to the sort of the smaller businesses that want to scale and
Mhm.
don't know how to do it, and can't automate because they think these tools are unavailable to the big boys. And actually, it's not true. That's our main thing, is that we want to help SMEs and mid-sized businesses do better by bringing them technology that's available to the big boys.
So somebody's in the kind of finance sector,
Yeah.
and you're like, we're a small business, there's 4 or 5 of us. We want to
Hmm.
make sure we're using the best use of technology,
Hmm.
and I guess not off the shelf as in Zapier, but we don't want to spend millions of pounds building some big machine. You'll
Yeah.
give them not quite Zapier,
No, we have no.
meatier than Zapier.
Yeah, we've basically got two sides of the business. We've got the agency business, which is custom development for exactly what your business needs and wants.
Mhm,
And then we've got a SaaS solution, which is a decision automation system where it's we have a direct plugin with a consumer credit and business credit. And off the back of a small monthly fee, you can automatically credit check your customers, whether it's B2B or B2C, whether it's consumers or businesses, and run it through a decision engine, and you get a decision out the back of that. Or if you don't want the decision logic, you can just credit check them with our system, and it'll feed it back to your system. So we only want to deal with people who have credit scores of 600 and above. You'll get 600 and above.
mhm.
And that's what our SaaS system does. It's a plug and play. You plug in, you tell us who you want to check, we check it, we feed the result back to you. That's it. No bells and whistles.
Right.
That's our SaaS system, and that's a small monthly fee. And then if you want something more bespoke, and something that will integrate with all your other systems, suppliers, or and customers, and automate a lot of the headache, open banking, credit checks, land registry, DVLA, all these things that are that you need data from, we can build those as a custom build for you as well. So there's
So
two sides of the business.
just to ask, just before we wrap up, I know we've gone on a little bit, but just to ask then, if you had a mortgage brokering business that wasn't
Hmm.
like just solopreneur broker,
Hmm.
but there's a couple of brokers within the business, that
Hmm.
kind of thing, and they're going, right, I'm going to help you get a mortgage. They could pull that in and look at it and go, right, okay, give me your open banking and all that kind of stuff through that kind of system. Would that work for like?
That's exactly it. Yeah. So like a mortgage broker will probably have a panel of lenders, 10, 20 lenders that they can probably, depending on their customer circumstances, but they're going to have to collect those documents, those bank statements, and look at their income and the pay slips, and make a judgment on actually that lender or that lender or that lender. Our system will do that automatically and say, hey, this is the criteria from all your 10 and 20 lenders. This is your client, and they've got a credit score of X, and this is what their expenditure is and their income is. And within seconds, our system can review all of that and say, actually, lender 1, 2, and 7 would be more suitable. Don't bother with all the others. Just send it to 1, 2, and 7. Oh, they pay more commission. Let's put it to them. So
Mhm.
that's what the system does. But it's a much more tailored solution, because it requires a much more tailored set of criteria.
That's awesome. So Terry, best way to get in touch with you, drop you an email or find you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, find me on LinkedIn, or you can just visit our website, venturemotion.co.uk. It's not, we're not a big brand, we're not a big corporate. There's only, a few of us that will get back to you. So most likely it'll be me. So yeah, drop us, drop on our website.
Terry, this has been fascinating. And it looks like from what we've been talking about, in 10 years' time, we'll still be alive. We won't be working for the robots. The robots won't have nuked us or destroyed us or any of that, but we might have a more purposeful and more interesting work life. And private life if AI can make that easier. So Terry,
Agreed.
thank you for
Let's
coming
hope
on.
for that. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for braving this as well. So I really appreciate it. And everybody listening and watching, please go check out Terry's LinkedIn profile, watch what he's up to. And if there's stuff that you think, do you know what Terry's doing, he could help us in our business fits with him, drop him a line. He's not the kind of guy who's just going to go and sell you something that you don't need. He'll talk to you, and if he can help you, he will. And if he can't, he'll tell you. So Terry, thanks again for joining me. And everybody, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next edition of the podcast coming really, really soon.